Namaste, Jai Bharat. One of the important job or purpose of philosophy is to provide conceptual clarity for those who want to think and think logically, not think at random. So there's a concept that's getting used these days, especially after this Bharat-Paki conflict, war, rather, it was real war. That's a question. That's a concept of hegemony. Hegemony is a concept created by the leader of the Italian Communist Party, Antonio Gramsci. But then Antonio Gramsci borrows the concept of hegemony from Marx and his concept of ideology. He wrote a book, Marx, so thick a book, that is the German ideology. Big book. And Gramsci speaks about hegemony in his book. Only one sizable book that he wrote is Quaderni in Italian, which is translated into English as prison notes. He wrote it as prison notes because he was imprisoned in Italian jail for his communist activities then. So in his Quaderni, the prison notes, he doesn't explicitly speak of Marx or Marxism. Similarly, he uses many disguised expressions in the prison notes. And for example, for Marxism, he uses the word philosophy of praxis. That word praxis also gets into launching from him. Philosophy of praxis. And to refer to Marx, he says philosopher of 20th century. And like that, to escape the censor of the prison officials. So that's purposely he wrote all those things. So this concept of hegemony has its roots in German ideology, where Marx speaks about ideology. And I'll tell you what is ideology, what is hegemony after a point. Then it has its roots. If you trace back, this D. Tracy was trying to make it more popular. But if we still go back to the beginning of it, we find two people in the European thinking. One is Francis Bacon and his book New Organon and Other Philosophies. And the second is Machiavelli, which is Prince and Other Writings. These are the two books where you find the concept of ideology. And I'll tell you what ideology is subsequently. You find in Bacon that he speaks there are four kinds of ideologies playing in society, and also in the minds of people who are members of society in any case. And these four ideologies, according to Marx, he calls them as idols. And one is idols of the cave, then idols of the tribe, then idols of the theater, and the idols of marketplace. These four idols. Idols of cave is a thought system or set of ideas that gets into your mind from your home, family, etc. Idols of the tribe is a community's thought system that comes into you. And the idols of marketplace is the kinds of thinking that influence you in the public sphere. Public sphere is a word used by Habermas, if I'm not wrong, and I'm repeating it. And idols of the theater is what our journals, media, the films people they do. That's through art, architecture, art, etc. Plays, shows, films, poetry, writing, novels. The thinking pattern that comes into mind to these sources. So Francis Bacon speaks about four idols. Idols of the tribe, idols of the cave, idols of the marketplace, and idols of the theater. Then when it comes to Machiavelli, he says it in the present meaning to mean that a prince, his books is Prince and Other Writings, a prince need not have any qualities which he is supposed to possess. It's sufficient for him to make the people believe that he has all the qualities which a prince ought to have, and he has those qualities in abundance. He actually need not have any qualities, but then he projects himself having these qualities. Then Machiavelli himself says that if one is a prince, He knows how best to deceive his people. The deception comes from there. How best to deceive his people into believing that he has all the qualities which the people want. Precisely these you find in Pakistani authority. Make people believe what they want. Now, Marx speaks the same thing, ideology, in that sense, that it's an intellectual deception. Intellectual deception for social domination. This definition, if I can call this as definition, is of Antonio Gramsci, because he uses the same concept of ideology as hegemony, and he explains. It says that hegemony is intellectual deception for social domination. And in Marx, and of course Bacon and Machiavelli, there are ideas are thrown like projectiles into the minds of people, which will make them believe what the authority or state wants them to believe. So it becomes an intellectual deception. They don't understand that they are being taken for a ride, because many truths have been kept hidden. The wanted aspects are to be pushed forward, many times spurious, non-existent phenomena as a reality projected to people, and people believe, and things get smooth for the ruler, not for the people. This whole story of ideology. And then Lenin tries to make a correction later. Lenin says that Marx was using ideology in the negative sense. That's a contribution of Lenin in this point. Ideology is meant for deceiving people. Marx, of course, was against such ideology, because he was talking for, he was dreaming for the dictatorship of proletariat as communism, as socialism, and then from socialism to a journey of a communism where the inner law of reason should be one with the objective law of reason, so that there is no contradiction between the inner law of reason and the objective state law, and there should be perfect equanimity in every field of society, which is a wild dream and absolutely unrealistic dream for Marx. He has a license to dream, I'm sure. Now, this is the situation. And till the point in German ideology, and also the subsequent people, Gramsci up to Gramsci, because after that nobody has used the term, that ideology is used in negative sense, and Lenin wanted to make it into positive sense. So he makes a distinction between ideology exercised for deception, ideology exercised to deceive people as ideology that is negative. Then he says the ideas which are promoting revolutionary practices or revolutionary activities are positive ideology. So Lenin makes a distinction, but then that distinction has not made much impact in the minds of people. So this is what hegemony is all about, and people use it. I don't know in whichever sense it is, and then someone else was using that hegemony. From there he makes another term, hegemons. He implies that hegemon is a person who uses hegemony. And what precisely is hegemony is they don't understand. There's many of the people, those who come to social media, especially those who are claiming to be journalists, have not that serious in-depth understanding. They are mostly at periphery, because that's the thing only that they need. They don't need more than periphery. They are not teaching in universities and trying to go into the depth. They are playing with society, with jargons, words, and cliches many times, and go on doing it, and they continue existing. They have no room in their mind to go into depth, because going into depth it will cut off their profession, cut off their job. So they would play with this kind of things, and then they create new, coin new things. Of course, everyone has got the right to coin new expressions. So this hegemon, all those things. All right. So this is what people think. So the question of hegemony, when you think of, one should try to get some understanding. That was only my purpose of speaking about this. It has a history. It has an intellectual evolutionary history, which comes to this end. And some time back, I heard somebody in the South, the communists, I suppose, the leftists, were trying to speak about Brahmanical hegemony. My God, hegemony of Brahmins. That's miserable. That's miserable in the sense that at no point in time the Brahmins, especially of Kerala, were intellectually trying to deceive the people. They were not trying to make intellectual make social domination through intellectual deception, though everyone accused them of having that. The Brahmins of Kerala, as I understand, I know it directly, that have utter poverty and a lot of inherent contradictions in their society, much ritualistic and complicated and meaningless existence. And actually, Shankaracharya tried his best to refine it, and though he, of course, his screen was very large, he was addressing the whole cosmos. So he did not focus much on his home state. It's wrong to call Shankaracharya having a home state. He is a Bharatiya in 150% understanding. But then there's one else, V.T. Pattatharipad, I suppose, who came and created a lot of corrections in the Brahmin society. And that is a situation in Brahmins, pathetic in Kerala actually. The history is bad. These days, of course, they are slightly becoming better, very slightly becoming better. And then these left liberals would call it as Brahmanical hegemony. They don't know what they are speaking about, and they are unable to speak of and show where is Brahmanical hegemony, but they speak it for a show. So this is for the whole story about hegemony in short. We shall meet again with some other thought. Till then, Namaste, Jai Bharat, Jai Siya Ram.